What's going on, guys? JPS back for another video, and today we're going to be reacting to 3 weird European habits that lost me 20 pounds. 20 pounds is a good amount of weight as well. But I wonder what these weird habits could be. Drinking water instead of Coca-Cola every meal, not going to McDonald's multiple times a week, walking places. Maybe those are some weird habits that Europeans have instilled in their lives. I mean, it's everywhere you go. But to be fair, guys, one of the craziest things when Americans visit Europe, one of the craziest things they always talk about when they're recounting their trips and experiences is the weight of Europeans, like just how slim everybody is. You know, you walk around, people are just in really good shape. And it's not even like they're trying extremely hard to be in that great shape. You know what I mean? Like, we all know Europeans know how to enjoy life. Like, you guys are going to eat some good food. And I think that's the biggest point too, is like the food is delicious, but it's not like covered in grease. It's not filled with sugar, pumped up with a bunch of chemicals. Like, the delicious food in the United States, when people think about delicious food, they're going to think fast food, Popeyes, McDonald's, like, but you see a nice little coffee, croissant, start the day in front of the Eiffel Tower. I mean, that's not many people's days, but I'm going on quite a bit. Here we go, guys. What are the weird habits going to be? That's what I'm curious about. Here we go.
Europeans eat bread, drink wine, and don't obsess over the gym. Yet half of Europe is thinner than the fittest US state.
Oh my days. Why is the UK so high? They're basically Americans compared to these other countries. Bro, why are they all like right at the same percentage as well? It's so weird. Oh my God.
The even more surprising part? Most of these countries aren't even following the famous Mediterranean diet, which the US media promotes endlessly as the ultimate healthy diet. Neither do Europeans hit the gym more often than Americans. Clearly, something bigger than diet or exercise is going on. Or rather, something weirder. These habits get accidentally adopted by Americans who move to Europe, causing them to lose weight without even realizing how.
I drank copious amounts of wine and beer, and without really keeping track of my weight, one day I decided to take a photo and see how it compared with my US days, and the results were shocking.
These habits don't just cause weight loss, they've caused what appears to be reverse aging in Americans after their move to Europe. Watch out, Brian Johnson. I lost weight while living in the US. My full-time job is coaching others to lose weight, and I've lived in Europe for the past 2 years. And I can tell you, there's one root habit shaping this reality. The eating and walking habits people fixate on, they're just symptoms. This is why even if the Mediterranean diet or Norwegian diet or whatever is mass adopted in the US, it won't make a difference because you can't fix something by mimicking the symptoms. You need to start at the root. And you guessed it, the root lies in the quirks Americans notice in Europe. Put on your detective hat. Can you spot the common thread in these quirky US versus Europe stories? When I first got to Portugal, I'd walk around with a drink.
Okay, I like the introduction. Everyone does always talk about you're walking around more in Europe. The food is definitely healthier, better ingredients, quality ingredients. But what is the root?
Drink in hand. Sometimes even having my lunch.
Oh, it's non-alcohol. I'm just kidding, guys. Everyone has their own lifestyle.
I felt too productive, knocking out 2 tasks at the same time, but I noticed people kept giving me weird looks. Turns out nobody in Europe walks and eats. Meals last 1.5 to 3 hours, even during workdays. Not because they're eating more, but because they're pacing themselves for conversation. Same thing with drinks. In Seattle, nights out meant slamming drinks. Europe, people nurse their drinks for hours. The goal isn't to drink, it's to talk. And it's not just food and drinks. This slow, steady mindset applies to everything, including work. We have all heard Europeans get 6 weeks of vacation. True, but it's more than just about vacations. It's a daily thing. Whenever I meet new people in Europe, nobody ever asks me, what do you do? In the US, that's the first thing people want to know because everyone in the US feels like they're in a high-stakes Shondaland TV drama, guzzling coffee and burning both ends of the candle. In Europe, work is just one part of life, like going to a cafe. There's no urgency, no drama. While life in the US is go big or go home, a life of extremes. That's why the US is increasingly split into two classes of people: those who are overweight and those who are highly trained. The middle class, people who are moderately fit and eat well without obsessing, is disappearing.
This is so true though, because I remember earlier in the video, she said that Americans go to the gym more than some of these countries that have, generally healthier people, lower BMIs, smaller percentage of body fat, whatever the metric was. In the United States, we have a lot of really fat people and a lot of like really fit people. This middle ground it's you're either on one side or the other to some degree. I'm not gonna lie. Like, some people are just all in on the fitness lifestyle, and we have some monsters who just, I don't even know how they're built the way they're built. They work very hard in the gym, so it's great to see that. And then the other side, we have some other monsters who it's not as great to see. When you see someone who is just morbidly obese and overweight, it just makes you feel bad. Like, I feel bad for them. I want them to not be in that state, bro, because it's just not healthy. It's not good for your life. Like, it's not something, and this goes into a more complicated topic because people are always talking about body positivity, and that has definitely come about in more recent years. And I think that there are certain like body shapes and types that you're going to have. Like, that's just how you're born. It's your genetic predisposition to have that figure. But at the same time, we should not like normalize and idolize like larger bodies. Like in the United States, I don't know if you guys know this artist. Her name is Lizzo. She's made some songs, like a couple of them blew up, maybe more than a couple. She's very popular. But she's been in like these food delivery commercials in the United States. And to me, it's just, you're promoting like a lifestyle that is just not health. Like, it's really bad for your health. And if you have children, they're just going to fall into that. And life is not comfortable when you're obese. I mean, it's just not. Like, seats aren't made for that. Like, when you're riding on trains and planes, walkways aren't made for that. It's just a shame. So it's a very debatable thing that people talk about, is like, we should encourage people to be happy and confident in their own skin. But where does that become detrimental? And now you're like making it okay for people to be obese. Like, there's definitely a fine line there. I don't know where it's drawn, but I think that's a big problem in the United States. It definitely is a big problem. But we need the biggest problem is the middle class. Like, we got the freaks on either side. Where's just the people who look like they're living a normal lifestyle? They're slim, they're fit. That's what I see in Europe. When I go to Europe, the middle class is enormous. Like, people who look like that, they're everywhere you look. It's almost everyone, it feels like sometimes. And I'm not saying that you guys don't have big muscles, nice and strong. You got that too. But the slim, that slim look is just like, I really love that. It just makes me feel like someone who is living a moderate lifestyle. They're still enjoying themselves, but they're not overdoing it. They're just existing and looking like that. It's quite amazing. It's not something that can happen in the United States. You have to really go out of your way to be in shape in this country.
So the root change we must start with isn't food or exercise. It's shifting our mindset from dramatic, high-stakes sprints to steady, consistent marches. Meaning you commit to no longer pendulum swinging between being on a diet or completely off the rails. Meal prepping with military precision or binging on takeout when life gets busy, then doing hardcore workouts as punishment for the binge. Instead, you do what Europeans do. They don't diet. They don't start and stop. They just exist in a steady rhythm. And that's the shift that changed everything for me. What this means is following one simple rule. I can only change 1 to 3 habits max at a time. The change must be a one-step shift from my current habits. And I do not change or add habits until my fat loss has been stuck for 1 month straight. This is the weight loss equivalent of steady, consistent marches. No overdoing, no underdoing. So what are these 1 to 3 habit changes? Nutrition is 80% of weight loss, and it is the biggest difference in how Europeans approach health compared to Americans. Like, I have many friends here in Europe who have lost weight, and when I ask them what they did, none bring up keto, intermittent fasting, or any diet. This was surprising to me because in the US, the first thing anyone losing weight credits is some sort of diet. So what did my European friends eat to lose weight? Starting at the root for nutrition, the why or mindset, is if you love food, eat like you love food. Europeans eat real butter, full-fat cheese, and croissants without guilt. They don't eat with a restrictive mentality where even as you're digging into that croissant, every bite is taken with guilt. Because guess what happens when you eat with guilt? You don't enjoy it. You're never satisfied, so you keep eating more and more, chasing satisfaction, which ironically becomes harder and harder to achieve because the more you eat, the worse you're feeling. You're not actually loving food. Compare that to if you eat that croissant without guilt. You're actually going to feel satisfied. So does this mean you eat whatever you want?
Oh, this is facts, though. Honestly, I feel guilty sometimes when I'm eating something, and it's not a good feeling. But that's also because our foods are made to make you guilty. I guarantee you that croissant. Listen, I don't know if this video's in France, but that croissant compared to the croissant in the United States, it's filled with sugar over here, guys. I'm telling you. So it's gonna make you feel guilty because you know what you're eating. But I think, yeah, the main key here is the moderate lifestyle and just kind of staying with those habits, like creating years of consistency. And guess what? You don't even have to think about it. That's what happens when you live in some of these European countries. Like, it's that easy. You just have to exist. You're going to lose weight. And it's funny, too, because every time I come over to Europe, I lose weight. I guarantee you it's going to happen this summer. And speaking of that, guys, I will be coming to Europe quite soon. I'm going to release a video soon explaining where I'll be traveling to and stuff. So stay tuned for that. But the trip is coming up, so I'm excited for that.
Yes and no. From the why flows the what you eat. Because if you love food, eat real food that nourishes your body. On average, 14% of Europeans' diet comes from ultra-processed foods, compared to 60% in the US. But how do we apply the one-step shift rule to this? As 60% to 14% is a huge change. Most junk and sweets we eat tend to be out of cravings, not hunger. So if we reduce the number of times we give into cravings, the amount of junk we eat will also go down. We do this using a point and call system, where before you eat or drink each serving, say in your head, I'm about to eat food out of hunger or cravings. Then if you ate it, record that by upping the count for cravings eating or hunger eating in your notes app. Set a goal to reduce the count of cravings eating by 1 per day for next 7 days. If you lose fat at your 7-day check-in, stick to the same count the next week. Use the body fat tracker linked in the description below to distinguish fat loss from weight loss. If you didn't lose fat, this is where the when part comes in from the Europeans. By and large, they don't snack. They tend to eat at set meal times and do mini intermittent fasting of 3 to 4 hours in between meal times. This in turn reduces the chances of giving into cravings because you're no longer making a decision every time an urge to eat strikes you. Remember, willpower drains as the day goes on, so the fewer times you have to make a decision, the better. But then what if at the meal times you
willpower drains as the day goes on? No wonder why we always make bad decisions at night. That's hilarious. I know. Shout out to Coach Viva, though, this channel. She's giving good advice. But Europeans, you guys don't need to listen to this. That's why I skipped it. This is for Americans who are overweight and looking to lose weight or are having problems with their diet and nutrition. But the intermittent fasting and having the consistent meal times 100% makes that easier, because when you're not eating consistent meal times or you don't even know what the next meal is going to be, you're going to just get something that's there, like get something quick. If you don't have it planned out, it's just more likely that you'll end up getting something fast food or processed,
At the meal times you binge so hard that you might as well have eaten junk throughout the day. That's where the last how part of European eating comes in. At your meals, prioritize having one palm-sized lean protein.
Let me just see this one more time. Okay, 3 to 4 hours. What? Yeah. Okay.
European eating comes in. At your meals, prioritize having one palm-sized lean protein, one fistful of vegetables, and 1 cup of water first. After that, you can eat whatever you want without guilt. In fact, remember that you must eat without guilt. And set a timer to make this meal last at least 20 minutes without screens. Baby steps toward the 1 to 2 hour.
Guys, a 20-minute meal without screens? I know that sounds like a joke, but in the United States, everyone eats their food while watching like YouTube or Netflix or something, because most people are eating alone. So you got to think about that. Like it's a distraction. And also people eat so fast in this country. Like me, oh my God. Like, bro, let me show you guys this plate. This plate right here, I would eat that in like like 7 or 8 minutes, probably less than 10 minutes if I was really hungry. Yeah, like I just eat fast. It's like kind of mindless. It's not about enjoying the meal as much. And a lot of the times the meals I'm eating aren't really too enjoyable. I eat a lot of like frozen food and stuff like that because I live alone, so it's more convenient than cooking each meal. That doesn't mean that I don't cook meals, but and the frozen food I'm eating, I try and make it as healthy as possible. It actually can be quite decent, and you still have to cook that, but it's just not the same as in Europe. There's not that sense of urgency, and there's usually in Europe you're enjoying a meal with somebody else. That's the best part about it, the talking, the conversation. So I wish we had more of that over here in the United States. It's not the case, unfortunately.
Nutrition is not the only thing that helps thin Europeans. We all know that moving our bodies can motivate us to eat better, but we also know that hardcore exercising can derail weight loss by making you hungrier, which then causes you to eat too much or the wrong things. Thin Europeans have found the sweet spot between exercising and hunger. This again starts with the root, the why or mindset behind movement for thin Europeans. Here's a good story to show the difference. I used to row crew in Seattle, and so when I saw an 8 in the Tasia River, it caught my attention. But what really stood out to me was it was a mixed boat with men and women. In the US, it's always all men or all women boats. I commented on this to my friend who said, that's because it's actually recreational here. I felt my understanding shift on its axis. In the US, even when things are tagged as recreational, they actually aren't. The crew boats in the US were never mixed because it was still a competition. And this mindset bleeds into everything. Hobbies have to be monetized. Workouts have to be optimized. But in Europe, it's okay to be bad at a hobby. You don't have to constantly level up. You just do it because it's fun or part of your day. And that's why Europeans move more than Americans without even realizing it. But how do you shift from a clinical approach to exercise to a fun one?
That is so true, though, guys. Like, even recreational sports and clubs, things that are meant to be played solely for the purpose of having fun, always end up being competitive, because I think as a country we're just so competitive with each other. Like, it's honestly annoying. It's hard to find something chill. Like, even the things that say they're chill, they're not chill, bro. That's cool with me though, because I love competition. I am the problem. Can never just be for fun. It always turns into something more serious. But I'm just a very competitive person, especially when it comes to sports and stuff. That's just how it is. When you have brothers and you've been playing sports your whole life, if you're not competitive, something's up. But I think, yeah, when it comes to the recreational sports and just having fun, enjoying yourself, not taking it too seriously, Europe 100% has the United States beat.
Things you do. The first is to integrate movement into your daily life in 3 ways. Instead of parking close to your building entrance, park far away and walk. Instead of taking the elevator, take the stairs. Drive to a park close to you and go for a walk as many times a week as you can fit. And the second thing to do is to experiment with trying out sports you think you'd enjoy and do them with the mindset of not getting better at them, but just enjoying them. Optimize for fun, not performance, and keep trying until you find a sport you like. But breaking out of a restrictive mentality is just one shift. There are 4 more that you absolutely need to know about, which thin people practice without even knowing it. It's their hidden in plain sight secret. I break down what they are and the step-by-step process for you to practice them in this video here. Or if you want my
Really good video. I feel like she actually brought some of those habits and put them into steps that Americans could take. This video is definitely targeted towards Americans, Only in the United States will you have to make an effort to walk for like 4 or 5 minutes during the day. Because people will look at you walking outside. They're like, it's so hot outside. Why are you walking right now? Or like, oh, that's so far. Just drive. Like, people, like, what? Oh, man. I'm excited, though. I'm going to be walking a lot this summer when I'm over in Europe. It's always so startling how much walking you guys do compared to us. It makes me feel bad about our country. I'm like, come on. Why are we so sedentary by nature? It's not healthy at all. So shout out to Coach Viva. I think she made a great video. Let me know your guys' thoughts on this video. Did she nail those 3 weird habits? And they were framed in a different way than I expected. They weren't just like three topics or ideas, but good video. You know, if someone actually followed her advice, I think they would lose a lot of weight. It's all about breaking down your habits and creating like a new lifestyle. It's really the lifestyle that is what makes you lose weight in an effortless way. So yeah, thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed this. Keep walking, keep being fit. I know you guys don't need me to say that because that's what you're gonna do. And I'm excited to see what we got in Europe this summer. So if you're hype, hit that like button, hit subscribe so you don't miss out on the vlogs. And I'll see you guys in the next one.